Hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your afternoon to be here with us. I'm Julia, a property manager at Beam Properties, and I'm going to be your host today. Before we get started, a couple of quick housekeeping items. We are recording this session, so if you have to drop off early, or if you want to share it with a friend or coworker who couldn't make it, we'll send the recording out by email afterwards. Throughout the webinar, please feel free to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Type your questions in as they come up, and we'll save them for the dedicated Q&A time at the end. If you need assistance with anything, drop it in the chat and our team will help you out. This is our very first event in a brand new educational series we're launching at Beam. And our first topic could not be more timely: insurance. Specifically, what's going on in the California property insurance market right now, and how, as a property owner, you can protect yourself from getting dropped. Let's get into it. First, just a quick introduction on who we are at Beam Properties, because some of you are clients, but a lot of you are joining us for the first time. Beam is a full service real estate firm. This means we do property management, we do sales, and we handle everything in between for owners, investors across the Bay Area. The Beam team, as we call it, brings together decades of experience across property management, real estate, finance, investment, construction, real estate law, and landlord-tenant law. That's a lot of things we do. And we pair that with the industry standard and updated technology to make the day-to-day stuff smoother for owners and tenants alike. We have a deep working knowledge of the local market, from rentals to sales, and we know the San Francisco landscape in the city as well as anyone. This webinar is an extension of that. We talk to experts every day on behalf of our clients, and we want to share this insight with you too. Here is what we are going to spend the next 90 minutes together. I'll spend a few minutes setting up why we picked this topic and introducing today's speakers. Then we're going to hear from three of our partners who tackled the issue of insurance policy. Three of our partners who tackled the issue of insurance policy cancellations from different angles. Judy from Prime Circle Insurance Services is going to start us off. She's going to talk about what's exactly happening at the carrier level and how to keep your renewal on track. Then Letitia and Anne from Great Escape Service and Inspections are going to walk us through the fire escape, balconies, and inspection laws, SB 721, SB 326, and Section 604 that are going to showing up in insurance review right now. Finally, Melvin from Mega Electric Work is going to cover the electrical conditions that put coverage at risk: knob and tube wiring, O panels, and things insurers flag. After all three speakers, will bring everyone back on the screen for a live Q&A. We should be wrapping up around 5:30. This is just a reminder to drop questions into Q&A box anytime. You don't have to wait until the end. Before we hand it off, let me quickly introduce the people you're going to be hearing from. Judy is the broker at Prime Circle Insurance. Judy has been in the industry for decades, and it has extensive experience across many types of insurance. Prime Circle Insurance is a lender in providing quality protection for hundreds of individuals, family, businesses throughout our state with auto, home, health, business, and life insurance. Letitia is the owner of Great Escape. She is joined by Anne Harkin, who runs operations there. Great Escape specializes in fire escape and the broader category of exterior elevated elements. These are people who actually do the inspections that the law will discuss required. And Melvin, the principal at Mega Electric Work, grew up in the city and has been in San Francisco electrical service industry since the late 90s. He knows the ins and outs of working with SFDBI, electrical permits, and electrical inspectors. We are extremely lucky to have all three of them with us. Thank you. Okay, let's set the scene. The reason we pick insurance for our very first webinar is because, frankly, it becomes the most single stressful conversation we're having with owners right now. Across California, in the last 2 years, the insurance market has changed in a way that owners who have held the same policy for 10, 15, 20 years simply have not seen before. Some of the biggest carriers have pulled out California entirely. The one who are still here tighten their underwriting standards dramatically. Renewal that used to be routine now has come with condition, rate increases, and non-renewal letters. In many cases, this is important. The trigger is not bad luck. It's a specific fixable issue with the building, an old electrical panel, a fire escape that has never inspected, a balcony that didn't get SB 7021 sign off. The good news is that almost everything we'll talk about today is something you can get ahead of. The whole point of bringing these experts together is and giving you information to act on. All right. Three forces are converging at the same time, and you need to think about all three together because they all come up at your insurance renewal. First, the carrier landscape. Insurers are leaving California or pricing themselves out of certain things of building, and one of the remain are scrutinizing every property at renewal. Second, new state laws, SB 721 for apartment and SB 326 for condos, require mandatory structural inspections of every exterior elevated element of every multi-building in California. Here in San Francisco specifically, we also have Section 604, a 5-year structural inspection of every wood and metal element on your building. Each of these things on its own is manageable. Combined, they are why we're seeing the wave of non-renewals we're seeing. The flip side is if you can show your carrier you handle all three, your renewal gets a lot easier. Here's what we're covering today. Judy is going to give you the carrier's point of view, what lapse looks like, why they happen, and how they get ahead. Then Letitia and Anne are going to take you through the inspection side. They'll walk you through the difference between SB 721, SB 326, and Section 604, and explain what an inspection actually looks like for your building. Then Melvin will get into specific about electrical conditions that are putting policy at risk and what realistic remediation looks like in the Bay Area. All right, finally let's get started. Um, Judy, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. As Julia was saying, insurance carriers are leaving California or they have left California now. So, due to the wildfire risk or soaring reconstruction costs and so forth, or they're non renewing a lot of policies. But at the same time, there's new carriers that are surplus markets that are coming in that is kind of filling in the gaps for it. Um, but those carriers are not licensed in California. So a little different. It's less coverage on certain parts, and the coverages are itemized on those. But if those carriers don't cover for your property, the last resort is California Fair Plan with a difference in condition policy, which is another policy that basically covers for what California Fair Plan doesn't cover. So that's the gist of just how insurance companies are just rearranging themselves. Your main carriers like State Farm or sometimes Safeco, they're non-renewing for like roofs or so forth. Um, then the next is for inspection wise. Inspection, when inspectors come out to look at the property, they're looking at your roof. Is it too old? Are there missing shingles? The age of it? How long can it last? But a lot of carriers are going into cancel policies because of the roof conditions. Then they look at electrical system. Do you have knob and tube, or is your electrical panel too old? So they'll cancel for uh, Federal Pacific, Challenger, stab block panels, and so forth. So in order to stay insured, the best thing is to update the circuit panels. Then they look at your plumbing. Are there any leaks, water damages, HVACs? Exterior structures, they'll look at if there's any cracks, any siding damages, or any chimney cracks, and so forth. Mainly, basically, they're there to prevent any lawsuits. That's what they're looking to do. So it helps you and help the insurance carriers. So if you're trying to avoid non-renewals or avoiding any lapse, whenever they after an inspection, they'll sometimes send out recommendations. They'll tell you, okay, we need you to uh, put in fire extinguishers or so forth. We need you to fix uh, certain things. Can you pull up the inspection report for me? Because I have an inspection report. Okay. So the first page, like this one, there's smoke detectors. They want smoke detectors in the main areas. Next page, staircase. So they're looking at everything. So this is an inspection report where it shows you what things do they look at. They'll take pictures. Next, please. Same thing, smoke detector on this. So this is a 2-unit building inspection report. See, so if you see on the upper right-hand corner, there's leak, there's damages, so that will be brought up, and they would want you to repair that soon. Usually, they give you a 30 days notice, and if you don't get that repaired, they can cancel your policy. Next, please. Same thing, smoke detector. So just different pictures. Next, back staircase, staircase. So this is a control panel. Next page, please. So this is an older control panel, and this is one that can cause you to cancel, that can cause to cancel your policy. So on the recommendation, they'll tell you update this control panel. Next, please. Yeah, so more pictures of your inspection report. So there's so much garbage in the back, they'll tell you clean up the garbage for this property, for example. So there's little things that they'll look at that, basically a lot of inspection is basically common sense. If you look at it and the house or the property looks like it's really damaged, or there's leakage or whatever, you will want to fix that before the insurance carrier tells you to do so. You want to keep it as clean as possible. You don't want any trash in the exit areas or so forth, because that is also a hazard if there's a fire. But then I also have two pictures. The next two pictures, please. Well, anyways, I have other pictures that it will show like recommendations. Fire extinguisher needs to be tagged. Like on the right, it says it needs to be tagged on an annual basis. So, and then it needs to be 36 inches off of the floor. So these are actual inspection reports and recommendations that are given to clients, and they have to show proof that this is done, and then they need to sign it and so forth, either proof of pictures or either receipts. To the left is actually one of my mixed use buildings that we insure, and it's actually a restaurant. So they have to maintain the ANSO system and have it cleaned. Then same thing, we have to show that, and that needs to be updated with a new tag too. Excuse me. But yeah, those are the examples that would cause you to have a policy canceled, or non-renewed. So the best thing is always, once they give you these, to immediately comply with it, and then sign off on it, because then you will have more of a smoother transition. excuse me, smoother transition to renewing your policy. I think that's pretty much it for my presentation.
Thank you so much, Judy. It's very
Thank you, Julia.
informative, and definitely we're going to have a lot of questions for you at the end, but we'll definitely save it for the Q&A session. So next, up next, we have Letitia and Anne. Can you
everybody, thank you for the opportunity. As you know, my name is Letitia and this is Anne, and we've been conducting exterior elements inspections in the Bay Area for over 35 years. Today, we'd like to focus on the Section 604, which is a San Francisco requirement, and the California SB 721, and also the California 326 inspection. These are also known as the E3 law, depending on what jurisdiction you're in. These are state-mandated inspections. We will discuss how both of these inspections differ and how both inspections can be completed at the same time. These inspections apply to 3-unit residential buildings. The SB 326 will apply to the HOAs and condos. The question is, are insurance companies and banking institutions asking for these? Yes, they are. The bottom line is basically insurance and lenders are increasingly focused on risk and liability. As a result, properties that cannot demonstrate their compliance may face delays or challenges closing or renewing their insurance. Regarding the SB 721, yes, they are requesting these compliances, or at least the status, meaning, is the inspection in progress? Has it already started? Have they proof of repairs, if there are any repairs needed, or the timeline for the corrections, especially since this deadline passed in January 2026. We feel that what's driving this new trend and pushing these mandated inspections is the increased liability awareness, tightening underwriting standards, insurance carriers pushing the compliance, and the local ordinances are now more actively enforcing these. We advise that all property owners, the best approach to take is to complete these inspections and address all their issues before beginning the refinance or insurance renewal at the time, prior to applying for refinance or selling their properties. We would like to have Anne here. She will move forward and give you a little breakdown on the different requirements for each of these inspections.
Hello. So I'm going to start with the Section 604 inspection. The Section 604 inspection is a San Francisco only inspection. It applies to all apartments, multifamily dwellings, condominiums, HOAs with 3 or more units, and also hotels with 6 or more guest rooms. This is a 5-year structural inspection of all wood-based and metal elements that are structurally attached to the building. So this is a full exterior element inspection. There's no height requirement on the Section 604 elements. It's anything that is exterior, metal or wood based or attached to the frame, exterior elements. And the San Francisco SFDBI requires the Section 604 inspection. This is every 5 years. And upon passing the Section 604 inspection, we are required to, or the homeowner is required to submit the Section 604 compliance affidavit. Keep it on file with your paperwork for the property, and also submit it to the SFDBI. The elements that come under the Section 604 inspection are all fire escapes, balconies, landings, walkways, stairway systems, guardrails, handrails, decks, all weather exposed elements, no height requirement from ground to roof, and are materials of metal and wood. And then I'll just move on to the California SB 721. The California SB 721 inspection is for 3 or more units, 3 or more on a multifamily dwelling. The SB 721 is for apartment buildings. This is a 6-year structural inspection of all wood-based or attached to the wood frame, exterior, that's outside the building, elevated by 6 feet or more, 6 feet from the ground, and element. An element at the property is all balconies, decks, walkways, handrails, guardrails, anything that is 6 feet from the ground, exterior, and exposed to the elements. The California SB 721 inspection requires a 15% bore scope of each type of exterior elevated element. And a bore scope is a small microscopic camera that we insert to inspect the integrity of the element. The California SB 721 requirement is that you keep your inspection report. Your inspection report is going to be your compliance document. That's what you're going to keep on file for up to 2 cycles, which is a total of 12 years, but you're going to do it every 6 years. And I will move on to the California SB 326, which is for the condos, HOAs, and TICs. TICs are recommended to do the California SB 326 because it's more of a coverage. This is a up to 9-year structural inspection of all wood-based or attached to the wood frame elements elevated by 6 feet from the ground. So it's the same as the SB 721 elements. This is just made different for the condos and HOAs. Structurally attached to the building. The elements that are covered under this inspection are the same as the SB 721. It's all balconies, decks, stairways, walkways, handrails, guardrails, any wood-bearing elements that are structurally attached to the building. This inspection, the California SB 326, is required to be carried out by a licensed architect or engineer only. This is the same rules apply in compliance documents as the SB 721. You keep your report on file. Your report is your compliance document. You keep your report on file for up to 2 cycles. So depending on the life expectancy of the exterior elevated elements, which will be noted in your report, it can be up to 9 years that you will redo that every life expectancy that will be clearly noted in your report. So the difference in the Section 604 and then the other California state required inspections, the SB 721 and the 326, the Section 604 covers all exterior elements. That's any balconies, decks, walkways, handrails, guardrails, fire escapes, anything that is exterior to the building, and there's no height requirement on them elements. They're from the ground to the roof, and it's every 5 years. And then the other SB 721 is all exterior, elevated 6 feet from the ground, elements every 6 years. And then the California SB 326 is all exterior, elevated 6 feet from the ground elements, and that's up to every 9 years. And that's a engineer or architect only. Yeah, we actually recommend We recommend doing both inspections, whether it be the Section 604, it'll be the Section 604 of the properties in San Francisco for sure, and it will be one or the other. Well, it'll be either the SB 721 or the SB 326, depending on the type of building. Is it if it's an apartment building or if it's a HOA or condo? We recommend doing both inspections at the same time because the Section 604 is going to be covering everything anyways. And then the California SB 721 goes more in depth on the exterior elevated wood-based or attached to wood frame elements. So we always advise our clients to do both at the same time. We do both at the same time for a combined price discount. It just makes sense. They're both required to stay in compliance. So yeah, that's what we do. And then do we have anything?
Yeah, I think we're pretty.
And that's the end of our presentation.
Yeah, we do, obviously there's a lot more involved. There's more in depth. We could talk forever on this issue. We have a lot of answers on our website. People, frequently ask questions. We break down each inspection. And as we also really suggest is if you're doing your Section 604, which is a 5-year in the city, it's a city requirement. The other is state, but we like to do them at the same time. It saves the owner and the property management companies some money rather than having us to go out there 2 different times. So it's really beneficial. We keep a file and record of all the reports as well as providing one to the owners. So if anybody has any additional questions, they can reach out to us. They can contact us through our website via phone or just review our website. There's lots and lots of information, also links to the city, the different cities, because every city will have slight variations and requirements. Like Berkeley and San Jose have different requirements, added in little extra things. They include additional elements where the standard bill, we try and follow the bill, but then we also have to follow the local jurisdiction, have an authority, what their guidelines are. So hopefully we've given you some insight as to the difference. They sound quite similar, but there are slight variations. But we do thank you for your time and appreciate you listening to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And this is a good time. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put it in the Q&A board there. We'll definitely try to get them answered, especially while we still have them here during this webinar at the end. So last but not least, we have Melvin. Take it away, please.
Oh, hey, everybody. Wow, everybody had a great presentation. I wasn't really kind of prepared, but my fault. Hi. Well, we're the ones that get called when the owners already get the inspection report, like they're gonna have to change a panel. And we've been getting a lot. We've been doing a lot of panel changes, and but there's all kinds of situations where the panels are located, which kind of makes it a little bit more complicated and costly for the building owners. There's something not everybody's kind of thinking about when they get the report. Like there's been buildings where like Vicky knows, we did a 30-unit building and all the panels were in the closet. So that will take time. And then the homeowners are like, hey, we need to get this done quick because they're going to cancel my insurance. So like Judy said earlier, getting ahead of the problem it saves a lot of headaches and probably canceling your insurance. So I would say get those reports in for your if you're a building owner, get it in so before you get flagged, obviously. So there's also ways to get these things done in time because it involves other stuff. You got to get a permit, and in some situations, the main building disconnect is one of those flag breakers like Federal Pacific or Sync, and it's going to require the owner to upgrade the whole system, and that takes a long time too, especially if they're underground. In the city, there's a lot of underground services. So that, and when you involve the whole service being upgraded, that's going to involve PG&E, and that will take another couple of months or even 8 months to get a application process because they're so backlogged right now. So that could get frustrating because it looks like a simple thing. Hey, we just want to change the main electrical service, but you can't because there's no they're not going to prove it anytime soon. So getting ahead is definitely the solution. And we also specialize in changing these breakers and panels, obviously. And then we have come up with solutions that can save the customer money where they don't have to change the whole main service. There's some modifications we can do here and there. But not always, it's not always the case. So hit or miss when you get flagged. But since we're doing a lot of these now, and we're familiar with all the buildings, and not all, I mean, the structural and the architectural, how the buildings are in San Francisco. So there's ways we already know how to price these things out and help the owner. But definitely, it's not a fun process for them, I guess. Sorry. Let me see what else here. So knob and tube, that's another electrical issue that should be taken care of because some of them is pretty obvious. You could see them most likely in the garages. The old way they would do knob and tube, they wouldn't drywall the garage. You could see it all below in the open spaces. I know the wire's been there forever, so people are like, why do I have to change it? Well, actually, there's no grounding on that wire, so it's a little hazardous. So that's another issue. And I think it's gonna be so hard to do this. Sorry.
No worries, Melvin. I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of questions at the end. We can also
Yeah,
save it
definitely.
for you to answer questions.
Yeah, and then always like the best thing is to do is get an electrical inspector out there with the report, and so you don't have to do so much work because some of these reports are pretty bland. They're like replace a breaker. Okay, which one? This is specified sometimes. So sorry, not that you guys do that. I'm just saying I see so many. So so you get electrical inspector, you comply with what they want. That helps a lot too. And I know a lot of inspectors in the city, and they're getting a lot of new inspectors too. So it's always good to be friendly with them. Let me see what else here. So yeah, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. Like changing the panels is gonna, I don't know. It's always works, but yeah, I'm sorry. I think that I ran out of stuff to say here. I mean, I could say a few jokes, but
No, thank you so much, Melvin. Again, I'm sure the Q&A you'll have a lot of time to share your experiences and what you've been working on, and some questions from the homeowners or building owners come across. So why don't we just start, and now that we have that, thank you for your presentation also, Melvin. I know it's a
thank you.
it's a lot to cover. Okay, so now we have all five of our panelists on the screen for some Q&A questions. Q&A, sorry. Joining our wonderful speakers, we have our awesome senior property manager, yay, Vicky. I'm sure some of you guys know her. She is definitely the face of Beam. Um, Vicky has over 2 decades of property management experience. Oh, she's going to hate me for putting that on the script. In San Francisco, and she's going to help us answer anything related to property management and our coordination process with partners like Prime Circle, Great Escape, and Mega Electrical. So feel free to send in your Q&A questions, and I'm going to go through them. To submit a question, use the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and I'll work through them. If you don't get your question answered live, the Beam team will follow up with you by email afterwards. Okay. I'll give it a couple minutes and I'm gonna go through the questions. Give me just maybe a few. Okay, I'm gonna go through the questions as they are received. So our initial question here is, one of the viewers are asking if we can get bids. Why are there such range in premiums? I believe this question is for Judy here. The bids, based on some of our clients here, we, get several bids from different brokers and different agents, insurance agencies. Why do we see such wide range in these type of premiums?
So every insurance carrier has different pricing, so that's why there's a wide range. But also, coverage makes an issue too, because certain policies may have this coverage, or even the amount. Let's say if you quoted a building for $1 million and somebody else quoted the building for 1.25, that's already a big price range. So coverage is an issue, deductibles an issue. So a lot of things involved, but always if you're taking quotes, you should compare it apples to apples and then go with the best price.
Thank you, Judy. All right, next question. Even though most carriers want updated electrical panels, why do some do not require it? And
So
Judy, maybe you can answer this.
so for insurance carriers, they do require it unless they didn't see it. So I've seen buildings where the exterior, the panel is updated, but the panel inside may be something else like a Federal Pacific or whatsoever. You personally may know it, but sometimes if they're not inspecting the interiors, then they won't know. But usually in commercial policies, they inspect interior and exterior. Personal lines, they'll usually, depending on which carrier, they'll just do a drive-by.
Okay, thank you. Next question. After such fire, water, garbage hazards have been noted in the inspections, how long does the building owner have to comply before the insurer pulls the plug?
Okay, so usually after an inspection, they'll send a recommendation to you. They'll give you a minimum of 30 days to comply. If you don't comply, you probably get another notice saying, okay, we're trying to follow up with it. So that might be another 2 weeks. You still don't comply, then they'll give you a 30 days cancellation notice. But if it's severe right off inspection, they see your electrical panel. That's the main thing that they will cancel immediately. So that means once they see the electrical panel, they give you 30 days. We're canceling it.
Thank you, Judy. And I'm going to bounce this question to our property manager here, Vicky. I think she can also answer this question. I know she handles a lot of these cases with the insurance agencies and getting in compliance. What is your experience, Vicky, with this?
Um, yeah, so same thing, what Melvin was talking about, the 30 unit building, that is quite a lot of work and coordination. Um, so it's best to work with a electrician that is experienced and is transparent and a good communication to plan out what you need to do ahead of time, because I think you are having to enter the tenants' apartments and having to bother them and doing work around their schedule. Um, I'm also seeing insurance companies going through the DBI website and seeing if you guys have any complaints on the on your building, and that also flags insurance cancellation. So it's always best to be proactive and try to make sure that your building is up to compliant.
Thank you, Vicky. All right, next question. This is for the Great Escape Fire Services. How much do you charge? Oh, how much do you charge to do 2 inspections?
Good question. We actually offer a combined price discount. So if your property's here in San Francisco and you're going to do the Section 604 and it also qualifies for one of the other ones, the SB 721 or 326, we do both together for a combined price discount. in some cases it works out where you're only just paying for the one inspection, but you're getting the other one for that one price as well. So it's like doing one, getting one for free. But to get accurate prices and quotes for each building, because each property is unique, there's different amounts of there's different total elements at every property and different type. We do offer free in-person quotes where we'll come by first and get you a accurate amount for the inspection. And yeah, we do price per element.
Thank you. I always love a deal. And, back to what Vicky said, being proactive is very important. And, having a deal is great to be proactive. Okay, next question. If the items or area need repair is inside a rental unit with tenants in it, and the tenant refuses to grant access, what can I do as a landlord? I do not want to face penalties from the city because of this. Vicky, would you be so kind to answer this question?
Um, it is a requirement. So if they don't comply, I would probably speak with an attorney and see which direction we should go about getting the tenant to comply. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And I believe the next question is also a follow-up question of the previous one. So how can one do some of this work in 30 days? Judy, if you don't mind answering this question in terms of, let me maybe kind of elaborate a little bit on the question. If a tenant is not allowing the property manager or anyone that is or vendors to go into the unit and cannot get this complete within 30 days, what can the homeowner do?
They can talk to the agent and ask for an extension. At least they're working on it. The insurance company knows that you're working on it. It's better. But if you're talking about circuit breakers, we probably cannot get much of an extension most of the time. Yeah, other things, it's not as bad. We can still work with insurance carriers.
Great, thank you. All right. So this question is for Melvin. I'm sorry, one second. Do all Federal Pacific breaker boxes need to be changed or are some of them compliant? I believe this is also a Judy question.
Yes, you have to replace all Federal Pacific breakers. They're not compliant anymore, and they are kind of hazardous because they don't trip when there's a short. That's why people have to replace them. And I mean, they've been because and they're also old. They've been around for like those breakers have been there probably for like 60, 70 years. So that's not going to help either. So it's an old brand that's out of business already. Judy?
Judy, when you do see Federal Pacific breaker boxes, do you automatically just decline them?
Well, we don't decline them, but we would tell them you should start working on changing your panel.
Okay,
Insurance carriers will not take it.
thank you. So definitely, if you have Federal Pacific panels, talk to Melvin. We can definitely help. Okay. Next question. Can you share any situation where a building owner had to pay a lot more than expected for repairs simply because it was neglected for so long? Um, let's see. I would say, Vicky, can you help answer this question?
Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, so can you share a situation where a building owner had to pay a lot more than expected for repairs simply because it was neglected for so long? Um, I'm assuming this question means if there is a situation where a building owner had to pay a lot, more than expected for repairs. Um, hmm, this question, let me see if the person who asked this question can um elaborate a little bit more on it. So let me move on to the next question first. For the person who answered that question, can you elaborate a little on the question on the Q&A panel? Thank you so much. The next question is for SB 721, will building department permits be required for repair on balcony decks and etc.? Great Escape, if you can help answer that question.
Straight off, unfortunately, yes, unless I think permits are not required if the repair work is under $1,000. And so therefore, when we produce a report and in that report there's been failures, we indicate where the failures are and we recommend reaching out to a general contractor to come in and reassess and verify what we're saying, and they agree to it. So therefore, the contractor will come on board and they usually work with the owners and they will help pull the permits. So the answer is yes, they need permits for all repair work. And for example, once we've created the report, we've sent it out, the contractor has now come in, completed all repairs, then they call us back as the inspectors, and we include a first re-inspection as part of our policy. So we'll go back out, review the work and sign them off on it, and they'll get their past report, which then they keep on file for the duration of 6 years.
And if I can just add a little something about
yeah.
repairs on the SB inspections, all of them, the SB 721 and the SB 326. So these inspections, they do have a timeline for repairs. So the owner or the representative, they have 120 days from the day you receive your inspection report to have repairs started, and then an additional 120 days to have your repairs completed. So in total, for both SB 721 and Section 6, or both SB 721 and 326 inspections, the timelines for repairs are the same, and you have a total of 240 days to have your repairs completed. And yeah, we offer a re-inspection to all of our clients. We include one free re-inspection in with the total of the inspection. So we want to come back to check the repairs have been completed and issue your past report for these inspections.
And that timeline starts from the day of the inspection. So that 240 days starts from the day that we did the
issue the report to the owner.
Yeah.
From when the owner receives their report from us or from another company, that's when their 120 days start to have repairs started, and then an additional 120 days to have the repairs completed.
Thank you. Okay, next question is there an ideal electrical panel that should be installed in buildings, I suppose? And Melvin, would you go first, and maybe Judy can also answer that question in a insurance standpoint? Sorry, Melvin, I think you're mute.
Yes, sorry about that. Yes, Siemens and Eaton are perfect brands to install for your property. They're not on the recall list. There's other brands too that are also good, but those work fine.
Are there certain panels or brands that are beside Federal Pacific that are not ideal?
Oh yeah, there's Sync, Westinghouse, really old one, the really old models, and even Bryant breakers. They got bought out by I think Eaton or somebody. So, and also we're seeing that even newer breakers like Murray are being asked to be replaced, which is, I found that kind of odd because they're barely like 15, 10 years old. In some cases, we had to change Murray breakers, which has kind of surprised me. So it looks like insurance companies are trying to grab onto any kind of little defect they could find in a brand that's over 10 years old, and they'll ask you to replace it. So it's hard to tell what the insurance company is going to come at you, right? So, Judy?
Judy, do you have any comments on ideal electrical panel brands?
So for insurance carriers, there isn't any ideal panels, but for the panels that are for sure not wanted are the Federal Pacific Stablock, Zinsco, Sylvania, and Challenger. So if you have any of these, they will absolutely cancel your policy.
I see. And piggyback off this question, Melvin, how much does it cost, or what are the necessary steps to replace your electrical panel?
Well, first cost is going to be the electrical permit. Even though insurance companies are not saying, hey, get a permit, because they don't write that. Some do, but the permit is like the first cost is you have to, take account for. Those go for like, depending if it's the one panel, it's going to be like $700 for the permit and inspection times, right? But that's if your panels are in a common area, you get to save some money because then all the panels are there. Like, for example, it's a 10-unit building. All the panels are in the side walkway or the breezeway. You could get one permit for that job. Now, where it gets kind of funny is like when they're in the apartments, in each apartment, then you have to get an individual permit for each apartment. So that'll add up the cost. I mean, if you're lucky to have them all in one spot, you could just get one permit for like, I don't know, like it could be $1,200 or $800. So if you get individual ones, it's gonna be like also like $400. So it gets really expensive when they're in apartments. So yeah, and then the other costs, like for example, like you have to upgrade a whole service to a building. If it's a 3-unit building, it could be anywhere from like $8,000 to $15,000, depending if it's an overhead or underground. So it varies. The more expensive ones are like the underground because you have to trench to the sidewalk, and you have to that involves a trenching company also, and they charge a good amount to trench. And yeah, and then our part, so it could add up. So like if you have a 30-unit building or 40-unit building, and you have you're unfortunate to have the Federal Pacific breakers on there, that could also add up to it depends on the building also. So there's not like really one set price I can really say, but it's because all the buildings in San Francisco have different electrical systems and they're not all the same. So it depends how much work is involved, and if PG&E is involved, then that makes it more expensive too. So I can't really pinpoint an exact price for you until like the actual situation is looked at.
Yeah, definitely fair on that. And even for the timeline too, because you don't know, right, in terms of
Exactly.
permitting and PG&E. Okay, thank you. Let's see. And then Great Escape. How does I know that we sometimes can have two inspections at the same time, and what is the timeline in terms of getting those inspections and reports back to the owner after it's complete?
So we at Great Escape, we actually work pretty fast.
Yeah.
We know we rather be efficient and fast at getting this out to the homeowner. So we normally have our reports and all paperwork sent over at 24 to 48 hours. Sometimes the SB 326 reports can take up to 72 hours. But the typical time is somewhere between 48 hours of us doing the inspection.
And also, the law is we have up to 45 days, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But we like, to get that information back to
Yeah.
the customer as quick as possible so they can take action and move forward with their permits, etc.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, I have one more question here. Can you install a whole house surge protector on a panel that insurance companies do not favor as a workaround? Judy, can you answer that question? Feel free to let me know if you want me to repeat that.
Can you repeat it, please, Julia?
Yes. So the question is asking, can you install a whole house surge protector on a panel that insurance companies do not favor as a workaround?
I think that question might be directed to Melvin more.
Yeah, it sounds like they're
sorry.
asking if you could put a surge protector onto a panel that's not approved. So no, you would have to change the panel and install a surge protector into it. Like I wouldn't, the inspector would not, I mean, I don't think they'll accept the surge protector being installed to a Federal Pacific panel, right?
Absolutely not.
No, so surge protectors are allowed on the new panels and they do work for the whole house, for the whole building also. So if your panel's compliant, it should be fine.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Will any of these inspections slash replacements cause damage to the property? I'm assuming this is for Melvin in terms of electrical panels.
In some cases, yes. When we replace the panel, we have to cut around the wall, depending on the previous installation. If it's all in conduit, we definitely have to cut the wall to be able to take out the old panel and then put a new one in. And then sometimes, like I said before, if the panels are in the closet, that will not pass inspection. They have to be in an accessible area. So either you have to cut the walls in the closet or run conduit on top of the wall, which is not ideal because people store their stuff in there and they'll start hanging stuff on the conduit. So yeah, you might a lot of cutting and patching is involved sometimes. And if it's you're upgrading your service, like I said, you're gonna have to bust up your concrete and into your property. So yeah, some constructions involved in some cases.
Okay, thank you. And for knob and tube, what is the process of replacing a knob and tube system to a newer breaker system?
Okay, there's two methods we could that we use either like the cutting of opening the walls and running new wiring to the unit or to the home, or the surface mount, which would be wire mold. You can run wire mold on top of the wall. It's a squarish conduit colored white or beige. It's more visible. I mean, you're gonna see it, and then you could run new circuits from there to the panel and be compliant with updated wiring. Or you could do or you could do like I said, cut walls, which is not ideal because you're cutting up and it's going to involve construction, patching, and painting.
And this is a personal question since I am also a part of a realtor sometimes, and a lot of my clients ask about knob and tube. And is it really that bad for knob and tube in terms of purchasing a home if it's still serviceable?
Well, it's been, so like I always tell everybody, it's been there for 80 years, right? The home hasn't burned down, but it's not the safest method. That's why it's outdated. It doesn't come with ground. There's no grounding there. So that grounding helps where there's a surge, it'll pull it'll say it'll be safer. In its old wiring and the way they did it before, they didn't balance out circuitry. So back in the day when this wire was being used, there was no microwaves, no blenders. They were only using like just an iron maybe. So so now everybody's doing a blow dryer, hair curler, all kinds of gadgets now, and they're overloading these old wires. So that's why I recommend definitely upgrading to new Romex wiring for the property. Because I seen it where tenants have plugged in plug strip after plug strip into the old outlet that's not been tuned and it's caught on fire. And what they do, they unplug it and say, "Oh, I don't know what happened." So yeah, definitely upgrade your knob and tube.
Thank you. Okay, and Judy, I have a question here for you. What is the most common deficiency leading to cancellation?
What is the most
Common deficiency leading to cancellation of a property? What is the most common cases?
common
You said.
cases is your circuit breaker, of course, and then roofs. Those are the two most common ones.
Okay. And roof, in terms of roof, do you just expect maybe a repair, or do you sometimes you would expect a full roof replacement?
A lot of times when they're canceling it, they're expecting a full replacement.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see. And another insurance question, are vacant buildings at higher risk for losing insurance?
Yes. So that vacant buildings are separate policies. So there's a vacant building policy. And then also if you're under construction, there's a builder's risk policy. So but if you have, let's say you have a 10 unit and you have 1 unit or 2 units that are vacant, that's still okay as long as it's less than 50%. But if you have 50% or more, that will be a major issue. And if the insurance company found out, they will come and cancel.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. I actually recently had a experience with insurance lapsing. And we are potentially getting a cancellation because of that from a previous insurance policy. Can you explain a little why a new insurance carrier will take in that situation as a factor into the underwriting process?
Carriers, usually admitted carriers will care more about that if you tell them, well, we've had insurance all along and there's a gap of, let's say, a month in between. There can be other issues that are hidden that can cause for a lawsuit. So that's why those carriers will tend to say, we are no longer covering this property. But a lot of times when you're quoting new carriers too, many carriers ask for 5 years loss run to make sure you've had coverage all this time, there isn't a gap, and there's no claims in the last 5 years.
Okay. All right, thank you. I think that's all the questions we have for the moment. If there's additional questions, feel free to definitely reach out to us. We'll have those answers to you and email to everyone. So thank you so much. Let's see. I have my last script here. Um, so so that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much, Judy, Letitia, and Melvin for joining us. Their expertise in this is the whole reason why we're able to host these educational events. And we are really grateful for your insights and your time. And thank you all in the audience for being with us today and asking really good questions. I definitely learned a lot. Just a couple items before you go. After this session ends, you'll get a feedback survey by email. Please take a minute to fill it out as it directly shapes what we cover in the next sessions. You can reach the Beam team anytime through the contact information on the screen, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn for upcoming events, announcement, and updates. Thank you, everyone. And for all the speakers, feel free to send in your information. We'll share your information, your social media, any information you would like us to share with our audience. Yeah, and hope you guys have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.